Hello, everyone. Jason Hagum here, and welcome to another edition of Jason and the Gentleman, episode 45. Which, we're just cracking these things out like, home runs from Vladimir Guerrero for the Toronto Blue Jays. And as always, to do this show with me, I need the gentleman of mixed martial arts, the gentleman Josh Hill. Josh, how are you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing quite well. You're obviously got fantastic movie posters behind you, with obviously to me the classic or the greatest of all time in Scarface.
One of the best ever, I would say, in my top five for sure.
Top five films.
But top five, yeah,
films.
Yeah, it's in there. Yeah,
it's up there with me.
I remember I first time I saw that, I bought it at a garage sale, the VHS, the 2 cassette.
Wow.
When I was about 13. Maybe
Wow.
14. And I had no idea, I never heard of it. And then I watched it, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then I watched it again the next day. And that became my favorite movie for a while.
Yeah, I got the movie like on DVD. I think it was like the 20-year anniversary, and I had no idea about it. Yep. But I just bought it and blew my mind, and so much Scarface merchandise ended up in my house after the fact. After a couple watches. But yeah, a classic movie. Well, we are back after the 1 week off from Labor Day, and I know you spent some time away on Labor Day, which I'm sure was nice to get out and get out of the southern part of Ontario and head up to northern Ontario for a little bit, Josh.
Yeah, man, it was nice. I went up to my grandparents' old trailer park where I used to go every summer when I was a kid. I haven't been up there in probably almost 3 years actually, and it was nice, man. The kids loved it up there, so I think that'll become every year ritual for them,
Well, yeah, you got to take them up there and show them kind of your roots growing up and pass some of those traditions on.
Yeah, man.
Well, obviously, while we had some time off, it was kind of a chill week in the realm of MMA and combat sports, with really like just one Contender Series show on Tuesday, but the piece de resistance, the highlight of the week, and that was really the only thing going on, was the, I believe, third now installment of these Triller Fight Club shows. This one, which totally had to be relocated from California to Florida because, Florida, they'll just sanction anything, with Evander Holyfield stepping in to be in the main event at 58 years old against former UFC middleweight or light heavyweight champion Vitor Belfort. All in all, and we had Tito Ortiz, Anderson Silva on this card in boxing, as well Donald Trump, former president, on commentary the entire night. And first of all, I'm assuming you saw this, Josh.
I did. I saw the last 2 fights.
Okay, so you saw pretty much what a lot of people wanted to see anyway,
right,
in Ortiz and Silva and the main event. But I watched pretty much this whole show. I was very kind of nice to see like a 7:00 start for a pay-per-view, because we were out of there by like just after 10. And I was like, that's where a UFC pay-per-view normally starts. But man, this car crash style of events that the Triller keeps bringing on, like, obviously that seems to be their market, and how a car crash is. You see it, you just can't look away. They're just going to throw everything at the wall to make these events happen. They'll get an audience, but I don't know how much longevity they can have keeping that style going.
Yeah, it's somebody asked me that today, and I just said kind of mixed thoughts on it. The first one being, it is like a circus type show, right? And it's hard to put like a level of seriousness to it, but at the same time, it is providing another platform, and is paying fighters good money. So like I said, I always side with the fighters. So if it brings money in their pockets and opportunities, then more the better.
Well, yes, of course, fighters are definitely getting probably some of the best money they've seen, but every Triller event, though, it seems like their top A side has had some sort of falling out, or ends up getting in a lawsuit filed up against Triller, whether it was Mike Tyson with the first one. He had a falling out. And then obviously now the Pauls, who seemed to be, that was going to be the focal point of Triller. They're no longer there. They're with Showtime. And I guess now they're still going with Vitor Belfort and whatever, considering they threw down this $30 million challenge. I know that there's an audience for it, especially, people that just can't look away from seeing anything like that. But I think it's really just hurting boxing right now in the long run. I think a lot of people are kind of feeling the after effects of like the hangover phase of this really now, Josh. You've had your fun the first two events, but now we're kind of getting past it. And while the fighters are making money, no one wants to see a 58-year-old fight anyone.
Yeah, I mean, I'd watch a 58-year-old fight another 56-year-old. Like I would watch Holyfield and Tyson go again. Because I think everybody's like, oh, you know what, like, who is to say anybody can't fight if they want to, and if you look at Holyfield, like, the guy's in better shape than most 38-year-olds. Like, the guy's jacked. I know he's old now and slow, and obviously can't take a shot as much, and his reaction time's way slower. But Vitor, what's Vitor, 44?
Yeah, he was somewhere in that.
Yeah, but that's a big difference, It's a big difference, and Vitor was already a fast guy, and I'm sure this is, TRT Vitor is back.
Oh,
what I mean? So
he was in full effect. Yes.
Yeah, so that's a big difference. So I'm all for like old guys fighting old guys, because I think it's an even playing field, and they want to get in there and they want to mix it up. They pass medicals. It's like actually safe for them to do it. Then who is to say they can't or they shouldn't? I think only fighters know that you have this burning desire inside you that probably never actually really goes away. So I can understand why they want to, but yeah, it has to be against the right opponent, and I think this wasn't it. I know it was a replacement, but I still think it was not good.
I understand. Yeah, obviously Evander, had to get really ready in 2 weeks for said fight and what have you. But I mean, Evander hasn't been allowed to get sanctioned in like New York and many other athletic commissions in like 10 years. Hadn't fought in 10 years or so. And this is a guy that even just hearing in interviews and seeing his sparring, like I wouldn't want to see him even against Tyson, because when we saw Tyson fight Roy Jones, like the snap was still there from Mike Tyson. Like he could still put a hurting on someone, and I would not like to see that. I mean, especially a boxer that's clearly has taken so much damage in his prime, whether it was against the Riddick Bowe fights, even against Tyson, Lennox Lewis, even Burt Cooper and George Foreman. Like, he took some big blows in his career, and you can see the effects now. Like, I just don't want to see someone like that even need to fight anymore. Bring him on as like an analyst or a rep or something, but I don't want to see him fight anywhere near that. Anyone with that kind of speed. Like, that referee saved Evander's life. Like, was it a terrible stoppage? Absolutely. But he saved a tragedy from happening.
I agree with that. It was like an early stoppage if you're like looking at it, but yeah, he definitely saved him from future damage that would have happened probably the next round if he'd made it out of that round. You know what I mean? So you could just tell the speed difference. It was just insane, and the reaction difference. So it wasn't even. It's not like he had a chance. I don't think he had a chance to. Even watching him hit, it's like, he looked like aesthetically, like he looks in like incredible shape, man. I hope I look like that when I'm 58. But yeah, you can just tell like the shit ain't moving like he used to,
No, he honestly looked like he was on skates, like a guy that's been on skates for the first time ever, kind of just falling around. Like, he didn't have his equilibrium there or just his timing or anything like that. He was falling around, and as you said, like Vitor Belfort, while he's in his mid 40s, TRT Vitor is back, and he hits with
TRT takes off 10 years for that guy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
He's 34 now.
Yeah, he looked 34. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I don't know, and I kind of couldn't believe people were like, I think Evander's gonna win this because it's boxing, and I'm like, sure, it's Evander's natural realm, But just looking at the sparring footage and of both guys, you knew this was going to be rough. And thankfully, the referee was the smartest person in all of that Florida commission to halt the bout before it got really bad. And then, while we had that happen, at least after the fact, we had Vitor Belfort kind of go crazy with his post-fight promo. Like, he was just channeling the Ultimate Warrior there, like calling out Jake Paul, and then Ryan Kavanaugh and the rest of the Triller staff were like, we'll throw $25 million, and then they're like, no,
30.
F that, 30. And so, I don't know, Triller just looks very sad kind of as an organization because they wanted to get Jake Paul back. I think they still seem salty that he left them for a bigger platform like Showtime. But just how they handle themselves and act, and as well lying, saying that these were competitive bouts when they ended up all being exhibitions. Like, how can you market yourself and win trust in a fan base like that if you're just going to pull up blatant lies like that?
Oh, these are exhibitions?
Yeah, they were exhibitions. So they marketed them as professional bouts, but then at the last minute, they were all exhibitions.
Is that why they were 2-minute round?
Yes.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you could just make it 3-minute or a 2-minute round and just still be professional, but
apparently you could just say, if you're in the back like an hour before your fight, I want it to be an exhibition, and they could make it an exhibition.
Oh, really? Wouldn't that be in the contract type thing?
You'd think, but I feel like Triller, they're just going as it is. They're making it up as they go.
Yeah, I mean, well, what do you expect when these type of shows, like, shit just gonna like fly off the handle and kind of go anywhere, right? So that doesn't surprise me.
Oh yeah, for sure. But all in all, I mean, I just don't know how much more longevity we'll have, like, especially when you look at the boxing scene coming up. Like, we have 2 big heavyweight boxing fights with Tyson Fury and going against Devontae
Wilder.
Devontae Wilder the third time, and then we have Alexander Usyk taking on the big, oh my God, I can't believe I'm forgetting the names. Yeah, Anthony Joshua. I can't believe I'm forgetting the names. But yeah, we have those. And then I know Triller is presenting a Teofimo Lopez, which is a competitive boxing match. But like, this just seems to be their whole branding. And then we had, of course, Trump on commentary the whole night, which I don't know. Did you listen to any of Trump on commentary?
Yeah, I did. It's, I mean, when you have like 3-4 guys or more on there, it's hard to like, it's just people talking over each other, you know what I mean? And just kind of like rambling on about this and that. And like, I in the fight, I tuned in, like I got to see like the very end of the fight before Anderson Tito. And then I like kind of like looked away, and I'm expecting them to talk about it. And I look up, and it's like Anderson and Tito are like in the ring, and like they weren't even talking about them. You know what I mean? It was just like, so it was just kind of just jibber jabber. And I mean, I like Trump, but like, I don't want to hear him on the commentary for a whole night. I think they could have brought him in for like 10, 15 minutes. That would have been cool. But to sit there and commentate the whole time, it was.
Well, I don't know why Triller did this, where for the majority of the show, they had him with Todd Grisham. So at least you had a professional play-by-play guy that could be traffic cop and kind of keep the discussion moving and flowing and not let Trump kind of go in his soliloquies that he tends on going. But once we got to the co-main event, they moved Grisham down to like ringside, which I don't understand. And then it was like Trump Jr., Junior Dos Santos, and Jorge Masvidal. Like, it was a full-on love fest there. And that's where I'll agree with you. It was just guys talking.
Yeah, I mean, I'm cool with that, but like, I don't want to hear that the whole time while I'm trying to watch the fight,
Yeah, and especially guys that weren't sure, like, who Anderson Silva was, like Trump in particular, who didn't know who really Anderson Silva was.
Yeah.
He really knew about Tito. Tito was a great guy, very smart too, especially when he was on The Apprentice. He did very well.
That's right. I forgot he was on The Apprentice.
Yeah, Trump even said that on the broadcast. But I listened to the whole thing. I thought Trump, other than maybe kind of going on some political stuff, especially when he's starting to talk about, if the scorecards here, that could be a total biased BS, having a rigged type of thing. Like, I know a thing or two, but I don't need to hear that. I don't need to hear that. But his memory of fights and being a fight fan was really impressive. Like, he remembered the fights that he put on and such things about fighters. And, kind of brought up an interesting talking point that boxing should bring back the 15-round fights instead of the 12-round fights. I thought that was fine. I was okay with that, Donald Trump.
Yeah, well, he's been around the fight game for a long time. I mean, I don't think he doesn't know the intricacies of it, obviously, about fighting, but he's been around in the fight game. So he's seen a lot of fights and watched a lot of fights and whatnot. And the 15-round fights, they just get too long though, man, sometimes, you know what I mean? Like, I think that was why they dropped them down, just because, a lot of times they do go the decision, right? So it's a long time.
I think they dropped it because there was a 15-round championship fight back in the days on the CBS where a fighter ended up dying from the blows. He took too many blows to the head or whatever. So all the WBAs, WBCs, they ended up dropping it. I mean, he brings an interesting point up, but boxing's never going to go back there. They're trying to make a sport where you get punched in the face too much as safe as possible. So if you cut 3 rounds out, whatever, that's how it may be. But yeah, all in all, I thought Trump was actually not bad. And actually, him and Junior Dos Santos had a pretty fun little band, like working together. Like you could see the chemistry they had. I think JDS has a career as a broadcaster. Like some promotion needs to bring him on.
Yeah, especially for a guy that English is his second language. He was good.
It's been quite a few interesting weeks there for Junior Dos Santos. He's shown up on AEW television and now calling fights with the former president of the United States. Yeah, good for him. Exactly. He seems to be enjoying being a free agent a lot right now. He saved very well during his time in the UFC. So good for Mr. Junior Dos Santos. But as well, Donald Trump Jr., definitely a guy that really still wants the attention and affection from his father. I don't think Donald Trump even really acknowledged his son the entire time. There was a point in the broadcast where he was like, I guess they were talking about smoking or something. He's like, when I was in college, I was smoking, Dad, and then I had to throw it up after we did suicides, and his dad just looked like, who cares? Like, you're a grown man now, Donald, so I don't really care. But yeah, all in all, I thought he was fine. Honestly, I thought the Trump thing was fine. I don't think it took away from anything. Other than like at the end where they had Trump on the mic, and I think he thought he was talking to the audience, but he was clearly just talking to the broadcast. But that was that. I mean, it's just this guy was president for the last 4 years. Maybe it was a little too soon to bring it on with some of the stuff that went on. But
I mean, I like I said, overall, I like Trump. I'm not one of those crazy diehard Trump supporters, but I do like Trump, and like I said, I would like him on there. I just I think it would have been better to be a little bit like more limited, or like you said, have that what was that guy's name?
Todd Grisham
as more of the kind of like brings it back to you get some, I don't know, direction, I guess, because we're just kind of like talking all over the place while they're fighting. You can't really, what I mean, you're trying to listen to what they're saying, but it has nothing to do with the fight, and you're trying to watch the fight too.
Yeah, Triller's weird. They'll just like alternate their broadcasts, like who's calling what fight or whatever. Like Grisham, sure he's with the Trumps, but then he's down there with 50 Cent and Sean Porter.
Yeah, well, where's Snoop Dogg? Usually Snoop's there. Where's he at?
Snoop just had a song actually for the event. He wasn't there this one for some reason.
Oh, that's right. He did have a song. Yeah,
he did have a song with Marvin Gaye that they. Right. God bless technology. The only funny moment I really thought that one of the Trumps said, there were some funny ones, but when Donald Trump was talking about, they asked him, like, what are some of your favorite lighter weight classes of boxers? Like Sugar Ray Leonard, Iran Barkley, him and Roberto Duran, that was such a vicious fight. And when the Giants, they drafted this Barkley character, I thought it was Iran Barkley. I'm like, yes, Saquon Barkley and Iran Barkley are not the same person. So I got a big chuckle at that one. But I mean, moving on to the card. I mean, Anderson Silva, though, this guy's enjoying his time outside of the UFC as much as anyone. Like, he's beaten a actual professional, really good boxer in Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., and then he floors Tito Ortiz with a beautiful first round knockout.
Yeah, dude. Shit. I mean, okay, two things. One, a lot of people would be like, because Tito looked so slow in there. Like, he looked like mechanical. Like, even like the 3 punches he threw where Anderson countered him and knocked him out, it was like, it looked like it was just like, it was bad. But regardless of that, like you said, because of Anderson's previous fight, He actually showed like he's fucking looking good, man. Like, you know, in his boxing looking good. He does not look like he's 46. And that's I think the difference too with like MMA and boxing training. It's like with MMA, there's so much more, and I mean, don't get me wrong, boxing's hard, but I think it's just MMA is so much more taxing on your body. You know, you're doing knees, kicks, elbows, wrestling, grappling. You know, on top of just your hands, right? So I think just focusing on just two weapons instead of all of that can kind of alleviate on the body getting prepared for a fight. So, but yeah, man, that was nasty. You know, Anderson just, you know, I don't even know if he threw a punch until the knockout. You know, he kind of just let Tito come at him, and he always does. He did that in MMA too. Kind of like just feels your opponent out and kind of feels your distance, feels your pressure, and then just took him in the corner, just bob weave, and a nice counter right hook to the chin, and that was put him right out.
There are people out there that think that was a bit of a work, like Tito Ortiz.
No,
I'm like, to me, there's no way. Like
No.
Tito's not letting himself get punched in the face like that for anything.
No, that was right on the chin,
Yeah.
and you could tell like he was looking like this way, and boom, and he was. There was no selling that, man. If it was, then they deserve an award because that was clean.
I mean, I've seen Tito's time in the realm of professional wrestling. He didn't sell as well as that on Saturday night. So, yeah, I mean, but Anderson Silva, this guy, he needs to keep this boxing going, and I think he will. Like, he still wanted to fight. You know, maybe we had our doubts about how it would go, especially how his run in the UFC came to an end, but he's looking so fantastic with his stand-up and his boxing. His boxing's amazing right now. Like, he's got to be a guy I would think in a running, maybe to fight a Jake Paul, but I don't even know. Like, I think Triller, if they're going to bring one of these MMA guys back, they got to bring Anderson Silva back because he's got a solid run going right now.
Here's what they should do, bro.
Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready.
The Paul brothers versus the Brazilians.
Okay.
Logan Paul versus Anderson. Jake Paul versus Vitor. Same night, same card.
I'd be down with that. I know Showtime wouldn't be down with that. I mean,
I don't know how that would work with that. I don't know if they're signed with them specifically or whatnot, but yeah, I think if you're gonna do this Paul Brothers shit and keep going on with it, then I think that kind of makes sense. Or you do a rematch with Anderson Vitor from MMA.
That's what I hope they do. Like where Vitor doesn't have to worry about front kicks or anything like that.
Yeah, that would be cool, right? So I mean, they're two years apart of age. They're pretty close in age. You know, like I said, Vitor's all TRT, maybe some more juiced up. So yeah, I'd like to watch it.
I would watch it for sure. And I mean, that seems to be the market anyway. Triller's going for is the MMA fans. So why not bring two guys that are legends in the sport of mixed martial arts that let's see them box. I mean, Anderson took no damage. Vitor for sure took no damage. Why not get that signed up and go? Because I'm telling you, one, the Pauls are not ever fighting a Vitor Belfort, anyone that could really hurt them or anything like that. Now I've seen Jake Paul interested in fighting like the Tommy Fury guy that was on the opener of his pay-per-view a couple weeks ago. So, I mean, he doesn't want to fight these MMA guys anymore or anything like that. That seems to be the trend. But if you're Triller, go for Vitor versus Anderson 2 in the realm of boxing. Like, as you said, you'd see it. I'd go watch it because I think there's actually an interesting fight there.
I think so. Why not? Yeah. I mean, they both, are past their primes in athletic sport, but they both are doing boxing now. And yeah, man, why not? Like I said, two guys that are kind of in that same bracket. Let them fight, and they're both look good. So it makes it more exciting.
It definitely does. I mean, if Triller's going to put on these kind of car crash, trash kind of style
like
shows,
Jerry Springer TV type.
Yeah, exactly. Like that late 90s, early 2000s style, like trash TV stuff. At least give me something that I can kind of digest because this one was definitely all over the place or whatever. I mean, I know Triller would love to get this GSP fight with Anderson Silva now or anything like that, but GSP is still under that UFC contract, which prevents him from anything.
Which is, I think, pretty shitty, to like not let him go do other shit. Like he's retired from MMA. The guy gave you how many amazing years and done so much for the company too. Dual champ, like it's not like he's wants to leave and go to Bellator, he just wants to go box and like let him do it.
It's just how the UFC operates, though. If you're under a contract from them, you can't do anything unless you get the blessing from Dana White or whatever. And plus, Dana doesn't want to see GSP draw money for someone he hates and these Triller folks and anything like that.
That's the issue, I think.
Yeah,
right? That's the main issue. So, I mean, I don't know if it would be any different for a Showtime or something like that. I highly doubt it. But
I think that'd be just as bad. Dana hates those guys as much.
Anybody that's not the UFC, basically.
Yeah. If GSP wanted to do something with WWE, though, I think maybe there's a chance of that.
I could see that because I think he has an admiration for Vince, because Vince was like the promoter, So.
Well, and Vince also let the Ultimate Fighter on Spike, like after Raw, back in the day. So, like Vince could have apparently said no, and then no Ultimate Fighter and no UFC boom that we had in 2004. But that's why they have that admiration. That's the only guy I can see Dana being like, sure, go do something with WWE or anything. But Showtime, hell no. Triller, absolutely not. Which, I mean, the funniest part was Trump put UFC and Dana over on the broadcast, which I'm sure that made the Triller folks really happy to hear about that. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, Masvidal too was talking a bit about it.
Masvidal is also trying to find a way to get on one of these shows or get Dana to give him more money.
Right. Yeah, I kind of like I said, I didn't catch it all, but I heard him talking about that, just saying like, let me do this or get paid. Everybody says get paid more, right?
Yeah, Masvidal and 50 Cent. I don't know if maybe I'm going deaf in my getting up their ages, but I could barely understand them. Like, turn their mic up.
Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, I had the same. Maybe, yeah, I don't know. It felt like they were very quiet.
50 just seemed like he couldn't wait to get out of there. Like, he literally couldn't wait to leave.
I don't know.
They're like 50 thoughts on the fight. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna take Holyfield. That's all he said.
Tell 50 to back another bantamweight Grand Prix for Bellator and have $1 million check.
Yeah, I remember. I was like, weren't you at Bellator? I remember that back in the day. But
yeah.
That was Triller. Honestly, I don't know how much more we will. I mean, they'll be around. It's just every time these shows end, they leave a bitter taste in their mouth with some of their top draws, like a Holyfield or a Paul or a Tyson. So they're always getting themselves in some trouble. So I don't know how much more we can see of it. I mean, maybe it's because the show also was like a super last minute change, but there didn't seem to be a lot of people there.
No, it didn't look like a whole lot, but you would think there'd be more for the names that were fighting.
But yeah, you had like one week to promote in that area. So, I mean, I could see that being a bit of a challenge. But, I mean, October 4th, they have a real fight, this Teofimo Lopez fight, which had been, pushed back because of COVID. Now we finally get it. So, we'll see what Triller does with their boxing scene as with things go on. Before we get into the cards coming up this week, Josh, because we finally get some big MMA. I mean, we talked a couple weeks ago about Gable Steveson, the Olympic gold medalist in wrestling. And,
you're right. He signed with the WWE, eh?
Yeah, he went with WWE, and he's actually still going.
Smart move.
He's still going back to school too. He signed this NIL deal, which is like a name, image, likeness deal that you can now do as a college athlete and make some money. So he's getting sponsored by WWE as well for that, which to me, I think is a brilliant move for WWE and Gable, obviously. But I mean, he was today pretty much saying that, he wasn't really interested in Bellator, wasn't interested in PFL, and was just disappointed at the offer that the UFC had. But I mean, there's a name that's now off the block for at least 5 years for MMA.
I mean, it's probably the smart move, man, to be honest. Like, you're going to go to the WWE, and I mean, don't get me wrong, those guys push their bodies to the limits for sure. But everything is a predicted outcome, you know what I mean? And it's not like you're getting head kicked and knocked out and your arm broken off, and you know what I mean. If you're going MMA, so and probably a lot more money, to be honest. So I think it's a smart move.
It's a smart move, and I think it's a win-win for both because, like, one, WWE can use this while Gable's his last year at school trying to win another heavyweight championship. They can use that kind of as a tool to market to these other top amateur wrestler prospects and in there to sign them to be, you know, talent for the future. Because I know you don't probably pay attention as much to the world of wrestling, but they're kind of going through a mind shift change of no longer getting these indie guys, so they're just going to find their own talent.
Yeah, dude. What's going on? All of these guys are going over to AEW, eh?
Yeah, it's like WCW Exodus all over again, but just with AEW. I think.
So is this the new? Is it going to be another Monday Night Wars? Are we?
Well, we kind of attempted to have that, I guess, with when AEW launched with the NXT brand, but AEW kind of landslide won that, so NXT picked up their show and moved it to Tuesdays. But I think we'll have it in the sense of they won't go head to head, but we'll see battle for competition and talent eventually.
Yeah, because I mean, like I said, I don't follow it that much anymore, but I do see all these guys hopping over. I've seen Daniel Bryant is over there now, and
CM Punk,
and there was another one,
Adam Cole.
Yeah, that was it. And I heard that Owens is probably going to go there too.
Yeah, when his contract's up, I think that's the big interesting one because he's friends with a lot of the guys over there in AEW. So, yeah. But I mean, that makes wrestling to me a lot fun. Like,
see, that's why you need competition, man. You know what I mean? That's what it's all about. Like, that's why people are about the UFC. Same thing. Like, that's why Bellator is so important, and same with PFL because it just drives up the bargaining. You know what I mean? And like, oh, he's gonna go here. Where's he gonna sign with? Who's he gonna sign with? You know what I mean? So it just makes it better for everybody.
Well, right now, professional wrestling is on fire because AEW is getting this talent that a lot of people have just dreamed that they could go there, and a lot of guys are getting some fresh starts. And I think a lot of people are more going to AEW, like the bigger names, because of the opportunities and the freedoms. And WWE's kind of signing some blue chip prospects that they hope to develop into stars. But I mean, it's fun right now to see the product and shows how important free agency is. And we just don't have that right now in MMA. Like,
no, yeah.
And I don't know why that is. I don't know. I think Bellator or PFL, they got to find a way to make some more splashes. But you get like one big signing every maybe 6 months from Bellator or PFL. But we never have anything like that. Obviously, guys aren't available or anything like that. But I just feel no one's really able to push the button that like AEW has right now to be the true alternative in pro wrestling.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's the contracts or whatnot. They're just different. They have more kind of control over you. I don't know how that works with pro wrestling. I'm not sure. I don't know the ins and outs of their contracts, but yeah, I think that's why you don't see as many. And also because fighters only fight, 2, 3, 1 to 5 times a year. 5 if you're crazy, but usually I'd say 2 to 3 on average, right? So the wrestlers, they're wrestling almost every night,
every week.
Yeah, every week at least. So there's so many more opportunities to use them. So that's why I think you see less big signings with fighters, right?
Yeah, I just gotta find. There's just got to be a way where like a Bellator or PFL could push even what like an Elite XC or a Strike Force was as kind of like that real alternative in MMA, where you kind of felt the excitement of them really kind of pushing like a UFC like WCW did or now an AEW is. But we don't really have that right now. It's like everyone's just cutting. You don't think so?
No, I do think so. I think it is getting there, and I think it's continuing to grow. And I think Bellator and PFL is kind of different just because their format. Right? It's just such a different format, which is cool. I like it. But if you're going to go like side by side comparison of the same model, then I think it's Bellator here anyway. One, in Asia, right? But yeah, and I think they're doing the right things to grow it. So I just hope they continue to do that.
Well, I hope so, because hopefully we can get some sort of competition or just feel the buzz, because just the buzz right now with putting on these wrestling shows is just for intrigue of what's going to happen or following the scenes behind the scenes, right? It's kind of making it a lot more fun and as exciting as it was during the Monday Night Wars, where who's going to go where or what's going to happen. And I don't know if MMA can get that because it's a traditional actual sport, unlike sports entertainment that pro wrestling is, but someone can try. I mean, even UFC and Pride kind of was like that. We had that. You hope some people would hop over there or what have you, but
yeah.
So I don't know. I just thought it was an interesting point. But and have you seen any AEW, Josh? I mean, you know the names that are over there now. Have you watched any AEW?
I've seen just a few, not a lot though. I don't know. What night is there? What's their main night?
Wednesday nights is their main show, and then they had now just launched a 1 hour 10 p.m. Friday night show.
Okay, no, I haven't. I mean, like I said, here and there I've seen a bit, but I haven't actually sat down and watched it.
Well, you should definitely give it a whirl now, especially with the buzz. I mean, you're a big pro wrestling fan.
Yeah, I definitely will. I just, like I said, I didn't even know what night they're on, but Wednesday nights, that's good to know.
Yeah, well, I mean, their big thing is trying to stay away from the NFL with Tony Khan, who's like their booker, who has an ownership stake with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So also, I mean, smart. You want to avoid the NFL anyway, right? So
yeah, you don't want to.
Well, competition. Yeah. Well, as we move on, Josh, we went from not a lot of cards this past week to a lot of cards. There's a lot of MMA on both UFC, Bellator, especially the debut of Yoel Romero in Bellator. Yeah. But as well, we got like Contender Series this tomorrow with, I mean, a girl we know, Jasmine Jasdavicius, looking to kick the card off and get a UFC contract. And she's fighting, to me, at the perfect weight class for her. That's 125. Like, she spent some time at 115. I thought she totally got jobbed in trying to win the CFFC Strawweight Championship. That was the worst decision I saw last year. But I think she's just a perfect and natural 125er. So I expect big things. And I could see her winning a contract tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, she's pretty tall for that weight. So I think getting down to 15 might have been a lot on her, right?
Yeah.
So 25 might be the better weight class for her. And yeah, man, I don't really know much about the girl she's fighting. Brazilian girl, I know that.
Yeah.
Shorter too, like 5'1", and Jazz is probably like, I don't know, 5'7" or around there, I would say. So she's gonna have that height and reach on her for sure. See if she can use that to her advantage. But yeah, I could definitely see her, winning this fight. And I mean, the whole contract thing, you never know with this. That's what we always talk about. It's like you're probably better off to be in the first week or two of this show, to be honest, because it seems to be, out of the gate a lot more handed out, and then it kind of dwindles as the season goes on. But yeah, I think she's got a great shot.
She's got a great shot. She's looking to be the third Canadian to get a contract on this run of the Contender Series behind TJ Laramie, and then last week Chad and Hellinger got a contract. But I guess that brings up to the point of, while these shows, I like the concept behind the show. I like getting some focus on this regional talent. It makes, especially if you follow the regional scene and know guys that are, competing on the scene, or I'm sure for you train with a lot of guys that still fight on that scene. But they've signed 10 fighters in 2 weeks. Like, to me, the whole UFC caliber statement is really kind of dwindling a bit. I mean, there's some talent that deserve to be signed. I thought last week they should have signed 3 out of the 5 that won their fights, but Dana signed everyone. I mean, like, you're kind of watering down your product a bit if you just sign everyone.
Yeah, that's true. It's kind of like the statement of, like, I don't know what it is, man. It's like everybody knows somebody that fights in the UFC, or, you know what I mean, nowadays. Just, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, it's all, maybe just because the sport's grown so much, probably, but like, you don't know really that many people that are like playing in the NHL as much, or the NFL or the MLB. But it just seems like, or maybe just because I'm like echo chambered in because this is my sport and I just see it so much, I guess that's probably why. But yeah, it's like, and somebody brought up a good point too about the other day. I don't know who said it, but like signing all these contender guys on, it's not going to be a huge contract, that's for sure, but it'll open up a lot of room to clear out guys that are probably making more money, and you can keep these guys under, pay them less, and they'll fight for it. You know what I mean? So maybe frees up some cap space. I mean, I know there's no cap on it, but some salary space.
You know who that person was, Josh, that said
that? Was that you?
It was me. Yeah, it was me.
Yeah.
I told you. And that's exactly why I think they're like signing all these
You're
guys.
right. Yeah, I think you're right, man.
They're like, oh, we can just put you on a basic deal for, 3 fights, and we can cut some of these extra, heavier contracts. We don't need these guys in your round. We're making record profits, but let's keep that by just paying people less as possible, because all these fighters just want to be in the UFC, where no one's kind of weighing their options and looking around for, what we talked about a few weeks ago, that Bellator is paying as quality as much as the NFL is to a player.
I know. Yeah, I agree, man. I don't know. I guess it's just the mind. I guess so. Like, as a young fighter too, like, all you just think about is UFC, because that's like kind of what you're like upbringing is, right? That's what you see, exactly. So I understand them, but at some point maybe they'll learn as their careers go on that, first of all, you can't fight forever, and not everybody, 99% are not going to be like the McGregor type. You know what I mean? So you got to go somewhere that you're going to make a living and you can maximize your time in the sport. And sometimes that might not be in the UFC. You know what I mean? So you have to do it kind of what's best for you and look broader. And money is a big factor in this, man. Like, you're fighting because you love it. Obviously, I get it, but at some point you got to try and maximize your income here, because you only do it for so long.
Exactly. That's why I think I just wish more fighters had the mindset of, not everything has to be the UFC. I mean, it's a great opportunity to, be on the Contender Series or Ultimate Fighter, or even getting a shot in the UFC. But there's other promotions out there that you can make, 5 times as much more money as you would for, a shot in the UFC. And I just think they're and as well as we talked about, they're devaluing their product. Like we saw last year, they signed a bunch of guys that had a sweet knockout on the show, and they couldn't hang in the UFC because they couldn't fight at that level. And I mean, that just shows, I guess, the downfall of the show is if you just do a flashy knockout to impress Dana. That's great. It's going to get on SportsCenter. It's good for you for, 5 minutes or so, but you got to make this into a career. And if you can't really hang with an elite level guy in a division, then there's no point in signing you.
Yeah. And that show is looking for more. So it's just guys that'll just come, kind of just go, get rid of all defense and just swing. You know what I mean? And if you do a fight like that, or get a knockout like that, or a very slick submission, then you're probably going to get in. But if you have a technical, methodical, smart, very athletic, good fight, you've seen what happens many a times, right?
Yeah, that's why some of these guys that have gotten contracts this season, it's kind of surprising, because we know what Dana's looking for. He's looking for like a video game button mash fight where you just throw 10,000 punches and kicks and hope for some wild knockout. But some of these guys, they've been getting contracts, but I think it's like we talked about. You can get you on the cheap, and you're happy to be there because it's the UFC, and UFC kind of just put a thumb on you for however long it may be. So, brings us to just, weigh your options as well for that. I mean, every other promotion's out there looking for talent like that and trying to grow. Like, that's kind of been the Bellator reboot kind of thing. It's just, even look in your weight class. They found tons of guys from Russia that they brought in, and as well, like guys that are champions at the top regional promotions like an LFA or CFFC. But yeah, I mean, even look, your weight class got now Horiguchi. The Gooch is now there.
Gucci's back. Yeah, there's another one. I mean, he was the champ before. But yeah, that's another huge signing. That, I mean, I'm sure that guy could have probably went anywhere, really. But
I think Bellator was the most logical choice for him, honestly. Especially he can still do stuff in Japan.
That's right. Like, eventually, whenever the world's somewhat back to normal, they can do that crossover again. He could be, he was the Bellator and the Ryzen champ, right? So. Yeah. He has more options there, I think, if he just went to the UFC.
I mean, now we for sure got to do this Grand Prix. I mean, that 135 in Bellator is by far the deepest bantamweight division in MMA right now.
Stacked, man. Yeah, stacked.
Yeah. Well, I heard you also meant when you were talking there about not everyone can be a Conor McGregor. Did you see Conor McGregor MTV Music Awards?
I just seen like the little pictures of it or whatever with that. What's his name?
MGK. Machine Gun Kelly, yeah. I don't know what happened to Machine Gun Kelly. I don't understand the bedazzle on your face.
I don't really. It just goes to show how fake, like, Hollywood is. You know what I mean? This is the guy that came out with a diss track to Eminem and a music video where he's looking hard and rugged, and he's from the streets and whatnot, and then now you see him dressed in like pink frilly shit and like just I don't know, a complete totally polar opposite identity. You know what I mean? So you're like, are you this person? Or are you just putting on a front? And I think we know the answer.
I mean, you can put on a front all you want. Sure, that's Hollywood, but bedazzling your face, I don't know what. That's not a trend that will ever come in style, especially as we're still in a pandemic and you got to wear a mask everywhere.
I didn't even see the bedazzling.
Oh my god, it was fucking just the worst thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, dude, I don't know that. I don't know the guy, but it just I don't know. I have no comment on that kind of shit.
No, none. What? Sure, but I mean, Connor getting into it with someone again, like.
I don't know what his deal is. I mean, I don't know if it's just trying to stay relevant, and no matter what, like he just, getting in altercations and having beef just is his only way that he knows how to do it. I don't know, but like, dude, yeah, I don't know. You fight for a living, you know what I mean, and you make more money than any MMA fighter ever. It's like, just chill out, man.
Also, your ankle is totally jacked up. Like if someone stepped on that ankle, Dana White is gonna have a fit if that were to happen.
Yeah, man, and like you got like 2 or 3 kids at home, and like just chill a bit. Just cool the jets. Get your aggression out in the cage or in training, and like I get people get into shit sometimes, but it seems with him it's always.
Yeah, it's always, or like, remember when he punched that old guy in the bar in Ireland because you denied him a shot that he wanted to buy him? Like, what are you doing? Like, he doesn't take rejection or anything. Well, yeah, him in Brooklyn, that's a bad place, whether it's throwing dollies at buses or now punching pop star singers or anything like that. Maybe just keep him out of Brooklyn, New York. That's probably for the best.
Yeah.
Anything that's not glued down or nailed down, he's going to find a way to throw at you. But yeah, I don't know. That's been the talk of the day. But I mean, it's Connor. We got to just dabble in that. But as we said, there are cards. UFC and Bellator, they go head to head this week, which I'm kind of okay with because I think Bellator has the better eye-popping card, especially
what's the UFC card? I don't even know.
Main event is Anthony Smith versus Ryan Superman Spann in light heavyweight fight.
Yeah, I mean.
But I mean, they're going head to head, and Bellator, I think they got the better card, especially the debut of Yoel Romero against Phil Davis. Like, that's not a pushover. Welcome to Bellator.
No, that's a tough fight, man. Everybody's still obviously disappointed because they didn't get to see the Rumble one. That was like,
yeah, I'm crushed about that.
That was the one to make, right? That sucks. But Phil, man, obviously he's a top 5 guy in Bellator. He was a top 5 guy in the UFC. Very, very dangerous, very, very good. So it'll still be a good one to watch.
Yeah, I'm just excited to see what Yoel can do because I mean he hasn't fought since before the pandemic, March 7th, 2020, right before the world went into lockdown and everything like that. And hopefully now I'm glad to see. Hopefully he's healthy and what have you. But I mean, I think the wrestling cancels it out. I know both guys have phenomenal wrestling, and I think if anything happens here, if you're Bellator, you're kind of hoping for a Romero win here, especially because you're hoping for that because I think if something happens, especially in the Grand Prix, you can get your Romero in there and hopefully he can fight Rumble again or something, like make that fight somehow happen. But I mean, that's exciting for this card. I mean, it's the return of we haven't seen Naaman Gracie fight in a while, and this is a guy that pushed then Bellator welterweight champion Rory McDonald to pretty much a limit on this card. And, Georgi Karahanian, he's now fighting his final fight on his Bellator contract that we found out today in an interview he did with James Lynch. So he's going to test free agency after this. And I think that's a guy Bellator's got to find a way to get back because I think Georgi Karahanian brings a lot of excitement to their lightweight division.
Yeah, and he's been a guy that's been with
Bellator
and then gone and then with them and gone and now he's back. So I would imagine they would probably re-sign him just because the guy's been around. He's durable, he's good, exciting. So I think they'll bring him back.
I think his fight too, I think will be interesting against
It's a tough
Saul
fight,
Rogers.
too.
Yeah, it's a real good fight there. But yeah, so we have that card on Saturday for Bellator, and as you said, they're going head to head with a UFC fight night card here with Ryan Spann, Anthony Smith in the main event. Like Smith, I think is a guy that's turned his career around from getting his teeth knocked out by the hands of Glover Teixeira. He picked up a win most recently. I thought he looked good against Jimmy Crute, and then before that, he beat Devin Clark and faces maybe a guy that's also trying to break through. So I think that's what makes it interesting. But I mean, Smith's a guy that has fought elite level talent in the UFC. So I think this is now him trying to reestablish himself after the setbacks he had.
Yeah, I think this fight does more for Spann than it does for
Smith.
Anthony Smith. Yeah, just because namesake, right? It'd still be a good win for him, but yeah, I think Spann has a lot more to gain off a win just to the namesake, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Spann, he lost pretty decisively to Johnny Walker back in September of 2020, so about a year ago. And then, his first fight this year, he put it towards our fellow Kanaka, Misha Serkinov. So this is obviously the big chance to grow up another top prospect. I mean, Spann has been a very talented fighter. He was a former champion in the LFA. So, I mean, Spann can really become Superman and be the kryptonite here for Anthony Smith and find a way to break through, which I think would be good. Some more fresh meat at this light heavyweight division.
Yeah.
But I just think Smith has a little bit too much big fight experience for a Ryan Spann right now.
Yeah, probably. But you never know with especially with the bigger guys, right? So everything can change so quickly. But I would imagine so.
Yeah, and on this card as well, we have Joaquin Buckley, so we can see what he can do coming back after having a loss on that ABC card after he had the knockout of the year last year with that spinning back kick. We also have a pretty good women's fight, Mandy Baum versus Ariana Lipsky. I mean, there's not a lot of names that flash out at you, but there's some good, talented fighters on this card, like Impa Kasanganay, who bounced back after being the recipient of that knockout from Joaquin Buckley. He takes on Carlston Harris, who is the first ever UFC fighter from Guinea, and choked out Christian Aguilera in his UFC debut a couple months ago.
Cool. What did you say? Where are you from?
Guyana. He's the first ever UFC fighter from Guyana.
Cool. What is that? Is that Africa?
I believe it's part of the Caribbean.
Is it?
It's It's a West Indian country. So
okay.
Yeah. So they discovered him actually by accident on that Looking for a Fight show at one of the UAE Warriors shows.
Oh, okay, cool. That's cool.
So yeah, so he's got a good fight. I mean, like I said, there's some good fights on it. I mean, it doesn't scream like must see on Saturday, especially when you're the UFC. I don't think they really look at Bellator's competition. They're kind of more competing against the Saturday evening college football that would be on other ESPN platforms as well. But
another fight is on. It's on the Bellator card that is Eric Perez, Brett Johns. It's a good one. I mean, obviously, bantamweight. I want to watch that. All right.
Yeah, you definitely want to for sure see these the depth of this bantamweight division get to be showcased.
That was actually I got offered that fight actually against Johns, but I wasn't training at all. My back, everything. That's so I had to say no. But and then I seen Perez took it, so I'm interested to see how that goes.
Well, I mean, yeah, especially considering Johns is a guy coming off a loss to Sabatella?
Lost his debut, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's going to be interesting.
Perez had an 0-2 start in Bellator, and then he won his last one.
Yeah, I mean, he did look really good. Finally, getting that win in Bellator. Or actually, that fight is actually for the Saturday, October 16th card.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh man, really? I thought it was this weekend.
No, it is not.
Dude, I could have. You know what? Okay, now that you say that, I think you're right because I think originally it was supposed to be, and it got moved.
Yes.
Shit, I forgot about that. That sucks. Well, that's disappointing. I was looking forward to seeing that, and I gotta wait another month for that. But
You gotta wait a month. It's gonna be
no,
okay.
yeah.
I mean, there's
It was
some
the San
other
Jose one, right? It's supposed to be San Jose.
Phoenix. That one is in Phoenix. This card's in San Jose, so it was supposed to be there.
Yeah. Okay. Shit. All right. Well, never mind.
You can watch some debuting bantamweights on the prelims, and Bobby Serrano III and Aaron Hunter. I mean, that's gonna be more guys kind of getting thrown in there.
Are they? I don't know them, but yeah.
Exactly. They're making their professional debuts.
Oh, are they?
Yes. So
yeah,
as Bellator does tend to do, but yeah, I mean, especially when you look at that Bellator card on the October 16th, Bellator 268. There's obviously you mentioned that fight, but I mean the tournament, it's back. Ryan Bader, Corey Anderson, Vadim Nemkov, Anthony Johnson, like these Saturday Bellator cards, they're loading them up, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
I mean, that one has Brett Primus, Benson Henderson. I mean, what?
Yeah, that's a good one too. I just saw that announced. Yeah,
it's a fantastic one, especially if you're in the Arizona area, Phoenix, Arizona area. Make sure you can get your tickets to that because that is one hell of a card that Bellator is putting on, and their last show for a while in the States before they head to Russia and Ireland.
Yeah, dude. I was hoping that's the one I wanted to get on was like either one, but Ireland would have been dope. I was hoping. I know that Brian Moore, he's an Irish guy out there. I'm like, maybe I can get him. I'm sure he would have been on that card, but then I seen they put him on the Russian card, which was surprising to me, but whatever.
Yeah, well, maybe they need more. I don't know. They need some Irish flavor in Russia. So yeah, he's taking on Nikita Mikhailov. So
Mikhailov, yeah. That was a name he fought in Fight Nights actually, and remember there was talk of me fighting him. So I seen that he was signed with Bellator. I was like, oh, that would have been a good one too. I would like that one.
Yeah, that would have been interesting. I mean, have you heard anything yet? When were you expecting to see you back in the cage, Josh?
As I said, I've like the last month I've been just like rehabbing, man. Just trying to get better. I want to fight before the year's out, ideally. But it just kind of see when they can get me on a card, because I know there was some cards they lost a few cards due to the Showtime scheduling stuff. So it just hopefully they can fit me in somewhere. I don't want to be out for too long, but we'll see.
Yeah, I feel like Bellator is still gonna announce at least one more card before the end of the year. I expect one in December before the year is out. So I would hopefully to see you on there, but if not, I mean, that would be unfortunate to get ready for fighting into 2022 because that's around Christmas and whatever.
January is always the worst time to fight.
Yeah,
always the worst, because you gotta, nobody wants to like diet over holidays, but not even that too. It's like a lot of people go away or with their families, so you lose training partners and shit, right? So it's always tougher. But if it happens, it happens, right?
Well, for sure, and hopefully we can get you on a card before the end of 2021, so you don't have to experience that dieting through Christmas, because I'm sure the family makes many great treats that you want to enjoy. But before we go, I mean, as we talked about, there's a Bellator, there's the UFC, but if you're in Ontario and Ontario, Canada, and you want to see live MMA in person, I believe there's still tickets available for BTC 12, which is taking place this Saturday in Burlington. But if you can't make it there, you can buy the pay-per-view, because Josh, we got our BTC's first show back in the province of Ontario since before the pandemic, BTC 9 in Kitchener.
Yeah, dude, that's been that long, right? A year and a half?
More than a year, yeah. February 29th was that show.
So a year and a half, man. That's crazy. So crazy. But yeah, I know the card it's taken some hits as far as numbers for fights falling through, and I know COVID's always causing issues with that kind of stuff, but still it's going to be a good night of fights, man. And yeah, I'm pumped because finally we did a live shows in when we were out in Edmonton. It was so fun. So it'd be nice to kind of be back to have that again here in our home province again.
Yeah, I'm excited for that, and I'm excited to do a show at the gym that they have there. I mean, it's kind of fun to do a gym show, especially it'll be a stamp, I guess, when this is all behind us, this pandemic, that we did a show there, but we'll have fans, which I think is a big benefit that a lot of those gym shows never got to happen last year.
Yeah, and if anybody knows, like BTC is an enormous gym, like beautiful gym, great facility. So they're gonna empty everything out, and I think it'll look good. I think it'll look cool.
It'll definitely look cool. I know they'll make it look very nice for the fan that's viewing it live or the fan that buys it on pay-per-view. So definitely order it on pay-per-view if you can't make it, or if you want to find ways to still get some tickets and support your fighter that's going to be there. Your favorite fighter or someone definitely go get them a ticket and help them out. So I'm excited for it as well. It's going to be a fun day, and just bigger and better things happening for BTC and MMA in the province.
Yeah, everybody, this is where a lot of guys are starting their careers or trying to use this platform to jump to the biggest shows in the world. So a lot of these guys here, you might see the future stars of tomorrow. So come out and support them, and just watch some really good fights too.
Yeah, watch the superstars of tomorrow today with us at BTC 12, which takes place on Saturday. But I mean, Canadian MMA though, Josh, it's really starting to pick up. I mean, we got BTC on Saturday, then the following week we have a Friday unified show back in Edmonton, and then the end of September, the 30th, going into October 1st, BFL with not one but two shows.
Right. Yeah, that's good. I mean, all three different provinces too. So that's it's good. It's needed, for fighters in Canada. So especially like a lot of, you're kind of limited on places to go and shit with all these restrictions and whatnot. So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm just happy to see the scene starting to get back going and put back to the great ways of how it was, as best as it can be right now. I know the pandemic's still a thing, but these promotions are at least kind of looking ahead and trying to get trying exactly. But yeah, well, Josh, once again, another fantastic episode with yourself. I'm sure if anyone wants to follow you on Instagram to see your great memes out there, where can they find you on the Instagram?
Right there in my name, the Gentleman J Hill. You can find me there.
Yeah, absolutely. Give him a follow. You'll see many great memes that'll make you laugh or think or mostly feel nostalgic about the way your childhood was.
That's usually me. Yeah. I'm always posting nostalgic shit. I don't know why, it just kind of happens, but
it was a better time back then when you were, a kid. That's pretty much
it.
Yeah. Well, Josh, thanks for once again hanging out and breaking down all the wildness of Triller and signings and Bellator, UFC, and we'll be back next week to do the same thing all over again. So for my partner, the gentleman Josh Hill, I'm Jason Hagholm. Peace out, and we'll see you all next week.